Hello, everyone. I want you to keep wearing the hat of being a pet parent while you can. Those who can't wear that hat, wear the consumer hat, wear the customer hat, because businesses cater to customers, and we all are customers first. Um, Today, I want to talk about something many companies are wrestling with today, which is how do we turn investment into customer data, into customer experiences and customer impact, and of course, the business impact. In my experience, the harder part is not the technology. The harder part is really how the organizations think, execute, and prioritize while executing. So we'll go a bit deeper into this. I want to start with this very provocative question here. It's uncomfortable but useful. When we think about customer experiences, we often focus on what have we optimized, how fast are our send messages. But a lot of value is lost when we think about the customers we have unintentionally ignored because we failed to respond to them. We failed to respond to the signals that they were giving us, or just because our touch points were so fragmented that we could not connect the dots for the customers. So the real question is not how many journeys we optimized, but today we will focus upon how many customers we ignored because our data, teams, and systems were not connected to each other. This is a real mindset shift. When a customer, and we all are customers, when we are experiencing a website or an app, we are going through various different touch points. However, when we measure our customer satisfaction level, we do it at one touch point at a time. So while the touch points are scoring really well, the overall journey may look to be very broken, as you can see over here as well. This is not because we are not thinking about the customers, it's because we are thinking about customers at one use case at a time, while customers are experiencing us or the brand in a more holistic manner. So to improve customer experience meaningfully, we have to move from touch points to journey orchestration. And why are we talking about customer experience? It's not just customer experience, it has very real revenue implications. We all have made business cases, we have all proven the value of what we are trying to do to our financial counterparts. However, what we are not talking about is the money that we have left on the table, because once again, it's not about optimizing open rate and click-through rates. It's about looking at data, not as an abstract capability, but as a driver that reduces friction for our customers, it improves relevance, and hence protects the revenue. So we are not talking about the money that we are making, we are talking about the opportunity cost today. And if the bottom line for all of us is very clear, that bad customer experience comes at a cost, think about how quickly this cost compounds. When we shop, we are looking at 3 different competitor websites in open tabs, aren't we? Why do we think that our customers are not doing exactly the same? And if our customers are doing the same, they're comparing not just the prices, but they're also comparing the experiences. And if switching is easy, and the customers remember the friction they experienced very, very vividly, what are we going to do to change that? It's not, once again, at a use case level, it is the understanding of the customer that we are talking about. So this was a poll that I planned, but now that I can't see anyone, I'm going to just talk over here. We all are here because we have implemented Telium or any other CDP at some point in time in our journey of marketing automation. However, if I were to ask for a show of hands, which I can't see, I'm pretty confident that not all of us would be able to truthfully say that we are on the high utilization level. And this actually has been the result also from this Gartner research. This statistic alone is quite alarming. This is a very, very low utilization level. However, in my opinion, this comes because we equate buying software with building capabilities, which are very different things. We, as organizations, do not fail because a platform is weak. We fail because we treat the data that we are capturing as a MarTech or a tooling project rather than an operating model change. And this is exactly what I want to talk about today. Today, I will not talk about how the product implementation looked like at Zooplus. It's not an implementation case study. I want to share a broader lesson that we learned on our journey since 2024 on how we moved from thinking in isolated use cases and started thinking in orchestrated customer journeys. For those who are not aware of Zooplus, we are leading pet e-commerce in Europe. We ship to 26 markets, including UK and Ireland. We are not doing that great on the brand building side of things just yet, but that's our mandate. So it's not on you, it's on us. We do serve 12 million active customers, which is quite huge. And we have about 300,000 SKUs on sale available for our customers. Again, massive. The scale itself shows the level of complexity that sits underneath it. And now, add one more layer of complexity. We were founded 26 years ago. That is a lot of data, a lot of teams that are very used to working in their own ways and manners. And this we can see as an opportunity to connect data points, or we can see this as fragmentation, and the decision was ours to make. So in 2024, what we started to do was we wanted to redefine how our marketing automation and customer experiences look like. So of course, like any other organization, we did a great job. We looked at what are the top 10 use cases we want to automate based on the business impact that they were creating. What we were not doing really well is looking at those use cases and seeing how they would fit in the customer journey really well. Because once you start down this path of use case optimization, you're optimizing for open rates and click rates and revenue per visitor. What we are not looking at is, should we even be sending a message to this customer at all or not? Should we be sending a message as a push or an email? Should we be putting some suppression logic? We were not having these conversations. And we lost the value, so to speak, in terms of building a full valued 360-degree view of the customer that is not just looking at the quantitative aspects, but also the qualitative and lifetime value of the customer. So the ambition was great, which was marketing automation as a starting point. However, the opportunity was even bigger that we were not tapping into just yet. So this is a bit of our journey. We started with foundations. We signed our contract with Telium. We set up a brand new CDP team, started profile stitching. We started looking at newsletter redesigns, of course. It has to be mobile first. Of course, it has to optimize for click rates. Of course, revenue per visitor has to be higher. We started looking at our processes and how are we going to improve those and automate. And then eventually we would go to the run stage where we would have all the channels integrated and the customers are talking, we are talking to the customers through all channels across. What I want to show over here on this slide is not the steps to run. What I want to show you is the path to maturity was not linear. The technical roadmaps are very, very easy to build and showcase in those board meetings. What is hard to showcase is how we are prioritizing, how we have to unlearn everything that we had to and relearn the newer ways of working that consolidate customer experiences in a journey viewpoint and not as a use case viewpoint. And this is exactly what we were struggling with. We had three big challenges ahead of us. We had an unclear execution path. We were as I said, we were enabling the top value use cases. At times, we were enabling those use cases one channel at a time and calling it success, which is a very narrow viewpoint because customers are not thinking at email optimization or push notification optimization. They're thinking about how is this brand talking to me. We were also looking at siloed data. We were optimizing on campaign values. We were looking at click rates, open rates, revenue per visitor, but qualitative data in the sense of, why are you sending me this newsletter? It's irrelevant to me. What is the lifetime value impact of the customer? We were not thinking about those. In the end, we also had, like any other organization, multiple teams that were working on similar topics. And what we needed to do over here is realign the teams, focus them on shared customer understanding rather than marketing goals, product goals, tech goals, architecture goals, right? And this is where we started with. And I'm pretty sure this is a pattern that sounds very familiar to all of us in this room. Let's make it very concrete over here. Cart abandonment is an issue literally for every single organization. A customer visits, they abandon the cart. We send a push notification or an email within 60 minutes of that cart abandonment through push or email. Throw in a discount, and hopefully the conversion improves. However, each cart abandonment is not made equal. Sometimes customers are looking for better prices. Others have a code that has expired. Someone may be looking for delivery assurance because they have a holiday planned and they need the package arriving earlier than what you can deliver. And this is the place where we are now talking about orchestrating journeys rather than automating a system. If every message is generic, here is a 10% discount, we are not responding to the signal that the customer is giving us. So we can assume busy work as orchestrating journey, but it is not the same. In this particular case, the customer was looking for delivery assurance, and here we can see the message could have actually changed the intent, could have aligned with the intent of the customer. I want you to take a look at this slide for a second. It's blunt on a purpose. Building SaaS is not equal to using SaaS. We are very good at procurement. All the organizations have robust financial processes on vendor evaluation, on architecture discussion, on roadmap prioritization. What we do not have yet is how do we look at decision-making, ownership, prioritization, and how do we evaluate our own willingness to change so that we get the best value out of the tools that we are procuring. And this is the difference between where organizations win or lose when it comes to actually building tech stacks that add value to the customers. So for us, this became the mantra. Technology is here as an enabler, but not a silver bullet. It cannot create value on its own. So we started organizing our solutions around these three key capabilities. We defined our data strategy, where we will not look at data as what happens after we send a campaign, but what happens before we send a campaign, so we can identify what is the message we need to send to our customers. The second is, of course, the customer-first methodology. It may seem like obvious thing, but this is where most organizations fail because we are optimizing on our KRs. So we wanted to not look at isolated use cases, but really think about where the customer is in their journey and look at the friction points to solve for those. And then the third point was the collaboration. Identify which teams need to work together, bring them together, whether it is in finalizing ways of working, whether it is in terms of setting up joint OKRs, but giving them one coherent problem statement to solve, so product, marketing, tech are not running in different directions altogether. This is a very dense slide. I do not want you to read through everything, but this is the operating model that we applied. In the end, it is customer point of view first. What are the processes that we have in place and where they may be broken that we need to optimize, and aligning those. And in the end, getting all the teams together, irrespective of what their reporting line in the organization is, to have joint and shared understanding of the customer view. So we move from what does CDP do for us to asking what is the customer problem that we are trying to solve, which processes sit behind it, and which teams need to work together to solve those problems. In the end, a customer is someone who has a persona, an intent, and a behavior. A customer is not demographics. A customer is not events. A customer is not segments that you send messages to. And this, again, became our blueprint that when we are looking at which audience we are targeting, we are looking at who, why, and what do we communicate with them to answer what are we going to do to address these customers' goals and needs so that we, as business, are able to create impact on the revenue stream. Let's make it more concrete. We have Jenna. Jenna is a pet parent. She's worried about her dog's health and well-being. She looks on Google or LLMs these days on how do I take care of an aging pet. From there, she lands on a page. From that page, she lands on recommendations. She's still not sure about Zooplus. She may or may not buy in this session. She gets a discount somewhere else, comes back, signs up for newsletter, and so on and so forth. What is important here is not just the sequence of events that Jenna goes through, but look at the organization that we have. This easily is 7 to 8 different teams and departments in one organization. What we are talking about is fragmentation, which is our own creation, but a customer is going through one holistic journey. Why do we need to impose our organizational structure onto the customer to then start talking to them? We do not. That's not how they are thinking. That's not how we think as customers as well. So how do we unify Jenna as a customer in an organization became our challenge. And unification is not for the sake of unification. There are 3 things happening. There's behavioral data, which Jenna is giving us through Clickstream. There's transactional data, which is in the end what the customer is doing, and demographic, which we are inferring through their clicks and through behaviors and so on. Once again, it's not about unifying everything for the sake of it. The point is of recognizing the customer. Do we understand who Jenna is? Do we interpret the context better so we can respond more consistently? And of course, it would not be possible to do all of those things in one go. We as organizations, once again, need to prioritize what matters most. Where is that gap in the funnel that we want to fill in from the revenue point of view or cost reduction point of view? Start prioritizing there, but work our way towards creating this unified view of our customer. Personalization is a very fluffy word I have used in the board meetings as well as many of us in this room as well, I'm pretty sure. But personalization can mean any number of things. You can go from 0 to 4, which is broadcasting, to being super mature. We need to find as an organization where we want to be when it comes to enabling personalization and look at what is the maturity, because maturity in personalization is earned. It is earned through signals that we can interpret better. It is through operational readiness, testing discipline, and channel capabilities that we need to improve upon. So just having a vision wouldn't get us there. We really need to work towards each step of the journey to get there. So again, a dense slide, don't need to look at it, but I want to call out one thing. We started with mapping out the customer journey on the top. We looked at interventions we want to have for our customers, and then we looked at capabilities we need to build. Nowhere on the slide do you see a mention of a single tool. The reason is, once again, tools are enablers. We need to know what and how do we respond to our customers with. Build those capabilities, and tools will enable those. If we can't do the first, the second, and the third, the tooling concept is irrelevant in that conversation. Another way of working is looking at the hypothesis-driven approach before you go to automation, because automation is expensive. Have you tested the hypothesis? Is it working? If it is not working, discard. Let's move on to the next one, so we actually build meaningful capabilities in the organization and not keep on investing just because we have to, or we put it on a roadmap for some slide, for some board, or some investor. In the end, I want to wrap up by saying customers are looking for very basic things. If we say we want to deliver exceptional customer experience, we need to know what that exceptional customer experience means for our customers in our category. If we do not understand that, customer experience that is exceptional can mean everything and hence nothing. In the end, in our space or any other space, exceptional customer experience means I am looking for outstanding products. Give me the signals that this product is of quality that I should buy and buy again. I'm looking for relevant choices. I'm looking for a great experience. Show me that you know me, not by just responding to an event, but really looking at events that happened before that. Tell me in the end that I'm going to be getting value for my money. Just don't throw discounts at me. Give me a discount that is relevant for me. In the end, if I leave you with this is the biggest lesson that we learned. It is not about technology, it is about building a muscle in the organization which has the right mindset, the right cross-functional alignment, and right execution discipline that gets us customer experiences. It's not the tools. So the companies that will win the race are not the ones with the sexiest tech stack. It will be the ones who can action to the customer needs to then create the business value. That's all from me. Thank you very much.